Holla holla, yo boy, George Billionaire. Another Monday, another time to get our hustle on as we are on our way to Hustle Hard, the most listened to radio program on Capitalk from 12 to 1 every single Monday. Today, we're going to be talking about an amazing rule. And this rule has defined so many people from being ordinary and others from being extraordinary. Now, knowledge is power. So they say. But according to me, knowledge is not power unless it is applied. But today we're going to learn so much about the 48-hour rule and what it is you need to do going forth from today, from the end of this year, and the many years you're going to live. You're going to understand the power of the 48-hour rule. I use it with the amazing G's. I used it in my life, and I know it works because I have personally used it in my life. Right, so let's go. Listen in, tune in, make sure you go subscribe and listen to all the Capitalk Hustle Hard series that we've put online. Be blessed, be provoked, be inspired, be equipped. It's your boy. Let's go. Holla, holla. It's your boy,
Yes.
George Billionaire.
The forecast.
With Becky K every Monday on Hustle Hard.
Yeah.
With some amazing news happening around the city.
Yeah.
But on Monday, we've got great news.
Absolutely.
Great news.
Absolutely.
That's going to provoke, inspire, equip, transform people's minds.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I love all these stories that are out there. You know, and every story that's out there is a lesson for somebody out there
Talk
who's
to us.
always tuned into Capital, because last time it was the houses being demolished. To others it's funny, to others it's sad, but
Yeah.
always take it as a lesson.
Yeah.
And this week there's stories happening on about whatever it is that happened, and it's a lesson to
There's
people
always
out
a
there.
lesson. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, when you meet people, it's not everybody who automatically becomes your friend. You know, you shouldn't always be moving around with chunk loads, you know. But there's always lessons to things. So I think, you know, it might be funny to others, but I think the most important thing, let's live and let's learn, because that's the most important thing about life.
True story.
Kusekana,
I know say
yeah,
because 4.5.
yeah,
Where are you going with it?
yeah.
To do what? And I think this is a point that you once raised, George, that, you know, when people get to a certain level of making it in life, they've got points that they want to prove. And it's okay to want to prove your point, but there's limits to proving your point.
True that.
You don't walk around with $4,500. That's startup capital.
True. That's a lot of money. And I mean,
yeah.
at night, you know, there are always places to put money. But like I'm saying, it's a great lesson to many. It's a great lesson. And it's something that we should, at Maria Kawand, some one or two they think their car is the safest place to put money.
Oh yeah.
But sometimes entrust your loved ones, keep it in a safe, keep it somewhere in a bank. You know, that's the purpose of banks.
Yeah.
And stuff, rather than moving around without money you're not necessarily using. And then here you are now, not in a very good space. And for you to prove that you had this money and now you're blaming other people,
yeah.
you know,
Now you have to expose your deals. Where did you get the money and all of that? Yeah, but anyway, I do hope that they managed to settle the story. And like you said, it's a lesson for everyone on both sides, for the guys and the girls. Don't just be going with people you don't know. Look now, they've been strung onto some story
and you
that
know,
probably has
on
nothing
people
to do
spending,
with
Becky, I saw, I mean, it's good to have a good time. It's great that, you know,
Absolutely.
Zimbabwe is hosting many great musicians. But even I'm very worried and concerned, especially about our younger generation,
right?
And how they think success is blowing money and being seen to have a table full of pretty girls and bottles of champagne.
Yeah.
And we did talk about this last time, and it's very disturbing, because those people you see blowing this money now, I think there was a time some years back we had certain groups of individuals who used to blow money. But if you ask where they are today, it's a totally different story.
Yeah.
And if you see the lifestyles they're living now, so you see, they should get used to it and mature. And like we've said before, remember the story I said before about when I wanted and I had a dream car in mind, but my mentor told me, George, this car is worth a lot of money. You could buy a house with that money. Why not inject your money back as capital rather than just get an excitement of a vehicle which is not an asset? So if you see some of these people doing this, they lack a mentor, they lack somebody who speaks into their lives, and some of them are, new money guys who just got their money. And but then this is a great lesson, like we're saying, to many out there, because we've seen many who've become successful and great, and they lost their wealth, like the ones who win $1 million on lotto, and a year after they look worse off than they did before they won. So let's mature, let's celebrate within good reason. Some of these bills we see of wanting to be seen that you spent 8,000 in a bar. When you look at some of these families, are their kids okay? Are their wives okay? Are their businesses okay? But you just want to be called Mbinga, Dombada Harare, DR Kurira. And after that, I don't think anybody can assist you paying that bill other than you. But now you're the one who's dug yourself into that grave because of wanting popularity, wanting your name to be shouted in the nightclub, so people know, wow.
Everybody shout out to George Billionaire in the building.
And that's $1,000 bottle. I don't know what space they call it or whatever it is. But imagine.
It's black bottles.
Yeah, imagine.
And then it's done for the night.
And that's it. And some of them spray it on each other, pour it out to the ground. But it just says something. And I always remember a mentor of mine who told me that, George, real money does not make noise. It doesn't even want to be known that there is the money. It will hide behind others. It doesn't want to be announced. And real money doesn't go and spend money in such places.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't. So I hope those with ears have heard.
Don't you think yekuvunduka mari is also on the mentality? Maybe the person doesn't think they can make the money again.
And this is why I say the thing with our generation now, we've got that generation that thinks microwave solutions to success is what success is. But if you see the greats who've run businesses for 20, 25 years, and people who've, grown an empire, it took years. But all these guys who are doing this, try and look at their business acumen over 5 years. You'll see you rarely will be able to trace where they came from, what they're doing, how they became who they are today. And that money doesn't last. That's the unfortunate thing. We talk about the days of the money burning era and all this thing. We've spoken about that and those people because they didn't have an investment mindset. And this is all, like we keep saying, lack of mentorship, lack of good associates. All your friends are, when you come there, our favorite saying,
yes.
Automatically
something is
going to be asked of you.
Yes.
Very soon. And when you're in a club, you can't drink alone. So if you buy a champagne bottle or a bottle of this, that, and the other, you also have to make sure that you please all those others. That's an unfortunate thing, and that's a poverty mindset. And I haven't seen anybody who has done that over the years, who 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the line, his name is still in existence. But those who value their time, their money, in investments, in going to the right places, I haven't seen those people, ever making it by going to the clubs and spending money. And those who are successful, you don't see them in such places. They invest.
Well, thank you for that. I mean, it gives us a good start to what we are discussing today. Today on Hustle Hard, we're talking about the 48-hour rule. If you've been tuned in to Hustle Hard from when we started about 1.5 years ago, George always puts in that 48-hour rule. And then we just be nodding our heads, going, 48-hour rule, 48-hour rule. Today I thought, you know what, George, break down this 48-hour rule for us. So the 48-hour rule is a general principle that emphasizes the importance of promptly reviewing and addressing issues or information, whether in academic, life, medical, legal, or financial context. So if you hear something within 48 hours, you must do something about it. And the first time when I heard you say it, I was like, I am going to be adding this to my talks. There is no way I'm leaving this out. This thing is powerful. And the platforms that I've stood on, every time when I mention the 48-hour rule, people look at me like, hey, and I'm like, like, what's my name?
Holla,
what's my name? Holla,
it's
holla.
your girl.
Yo, hustler, what? But it's something that has stuck with me, and I do put effort in certain things that I know. 48 hours, this thing. I know I'm never going to do it. And I've seen the things that I've said, I'll do it tomorrow. It's like a list. And then the things that I've actually actioned out immediately are doing well. I've progressed in those areas, and I see myself growing in those areas. So how does the 48-hour rule relate to the decisions that we make on a daily basis? What are we making the 48-hour rule on? What are we placing it on?
Wow. So Becky, it's before I answer you, it's amazing as always. There's an audio I received last week, soon after the show.
Oh yeah.
And it's amazing to see certain individuals who've been listening to the program since we began, and how they have actually started and impacted not only their lives but their communities and people around them to actually begin to do something of change. And it was such a great breath of fresh air to hear somebody emotionally talk about the implementation that they have actually done with the wisdom, the nuggets of every day, tuning in on Mondays to Capi Talk to listen to what we always talk about. And now, a year, 8 months down the line, they have made significant progress.
Yeah.
So a big shout out to everybody out there. And as always, we would love to hear all those testimonials. You can send them through to me on my number, 712-840-840, and just give that feedback. I'm going to be doing a masterclass, and there's some people really, I feel, Becky, who have responded, who actually want to complimentary pay for their masterclass just to help them become better individuals, because they are different from everybody else. They're not just listeners on Capi Talk, on Hustle Hard, but they're actually doers. So I would really love to hear from those people and put them on to our next masterclass, which is happening on the 7th of December. So if they are out there, if you're an entrepreneur who has started something from this program, do reach out, and we really can do something to help you to expand, to grow, and to get bigger markets. Now, on the 48-hour rule, it's a basic principle that I've seen that has worked not only in my life, in my children's life, and even in the people who I surround, mentor, and even some of my mentors have applied that rule by saying this one thing is true. When you hear something at church, at a business networking forum, here on Capi Talk, wherever you are, the difference between you and the people who then actually make it and make use of it is that they intentionally make a deliberate decision to act upon what they heard within 48 hours.
Right.
They are listening to us now. They have a journal where they are writing down notes. They hear that you need to get rid of excusatitis, of procrastination, of putting things off, and they hear it, and within a period of 48 hours, they take action regarding what they wrote down and what they want to do. These are the people, without doubt, there's 100% rate on this. People who take action within 48 hours of hearing a message from the Word of God, some motivation, some inspiration, 100% become great at whatever they do.
Right.
As long as they continue that habit. But to those who, when they hear something, especially on Sundays, if I ask you, Becky, the last 2 weekends on Sunday, the message you heard, when you left Sunday, you definitely said, wow, man of God, that was powerful.
Fire
that
message.
Word impacted me. You would say, wow, on Hustle Hard, You guys were amazing. We can get a multi-billionaire speaker come and speak and tell you facts about life. But the difference between you who heard and somebody who acted upon what they heard are the results that you get. So to people who are out there listening to us, I can tell you the reason why you're not where you are and where you want to be is simply because you have not taken action in regard to what you want to do. I love the amazing book called the Bible, where it says faith without action is absolutely dead. And what you fail to do when you hear something is act. Your body will go back to factory settings and you'll be the same person. And you'll be like, but wait a minute, I heard this. But the difference with you and everybody else, you'll be like the parable of those people who were given talents, who were given 1, 5, and 10. And all that person with that one did, he was given the same thing. But because of procrastinating, I didn't do this, I didn't do that. That habit is a key thing that affects people and leads them not to becoming productive and progressive in life. So the 48-hour rule is key to understand that when you hear something, make a deliberate choice to say, you know what, I'm going to start working on going to the gym. I'm going to start taking walks. I'm going to start reading books. And I've said this so many times to people that the one key thing that differentiates people is the small habits that they incorporate. And there's an amazing book that I've read a countless number of times called Atomic Habits. That's a great book that will teach you to get rid of all these excuses and you start small habits. And these habits, you start them small, but then they become big habits and they become a part of your life.
So you were saying with habits that they don't have to be big.
It's small. The key thing about success and what we try and tell people here is that a journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. Now, when you hear something that provoked you, the worst thing that you cannot do is to try. But majority of people hear some advice. People have been told, wow, you should start this. Wow, you'd be great if you did this. But then because you heard it, it went in one ear, stayed for a day, and it went out, you never implemented that. And this is why I always tell this to people that the greatest thing that people suffer from in their later days of life is called regret. Wishing that I wish I did this. I wish I just listened on all those things we were told. And it's a small thing. It's a small habit. It's actually saying on my lunch break today, instead of scrolling down all these rumors and juicy stories, why don't I read a book like I heard the other day? Why don't I focus on reaching my goal of, if it's 10,000 steps you start with 6, beat it and keep going on. Guess what? That will create a healthy lifestyle in you. But as always, the difference between those who make it and those who don't, it's a simple thing. Those who have made it, believe it or not, have actioned out the things that they've said they want to do. And this is why at the beginning of every year, we're coming to the end of the year now, and many people had New Year's resolution. Many had written down things. Some had not even. Some are just living chamuka inyama.
Some had spoken.
They don't.
Some had spoken, but then I remember you reprimanded us from just talking. You said talking is not enough. Typing in your phone is not enough. So what I normally do now is, if I don't have a pen and paper with me, I would type on my notes. But as soon as I get home, while my helper is making my tea or something and I'm winding down, I take my journal, my notebook, and I transfer the notes that I put on my phone and I write it down. And there's that thing that happens with your brain. I don't know how to explain it. Like the vision becomes even more alive, almost like it's tangible, almost like I can grab this, as opposed to when I was typing it on the phone. Like as you were talking and I was comparing the notes that we have, I just had a light bulb moment and I was like, I don't want to miss out on this. So I typed it out. When I get home, I know for sure, because it's something now that I've been practicing, I'm going to actually write it down. You spoke about putting action within 48 hours. So does this action depend on what needs to be done? Or the first step of the action is to write the thing down? Or maybe the action is talk to the person, phone the person that you said you were going to call, write the proposal that you said you were go and buy the thing that you said you were going to buy. I remember my car lights were not working for like the longest. I had one light that would just be working, and I'm like, as long as I can see,
Yeah.
I'm not bothering anyone. Then my
True
sister said to me, so every time when they would try to bring me to attention, they don't call me Mrs., they don't call me Becky, they say Becky K. Like, can you realize whomst you are?
Yeah.
And the situation that you are allowing yourself to just
it's not
be.
your portion.
It's not your portion. So my sister said to me, Nai Becky K. Saka watima lights emoto ndo akudurira zvidaro.
Imagine that.
Ukangonda pa, you know that hardware store.
It's just $5-10.
You go and you buy, you ask them to install the freaking things. What is your problem?
True
And
that.
I'm like, okay, sorry.
And
so what's the action point?
You know, there's a verse that says procrastination is the greatest thief of time, and it says the enemy comes to kill, to steal, and to destroy. Now, one thing people don't get is that their time is being stolen, and they are being distracted from executing things that will change their lives by watching television, snooping in on rumors, this, that, and the other, and not focusing on themselves. Now, when you hear something like what you're hearing today about executing certain things, and you know you want to meet so-and-so, be someone who is quick, action-oriented. Call the person there and then. I was with a friend this weekend and they wanted to meet somebody. And immediately I said, let me call them. Because I'm somebody who's action-oriented. I don't like putting things off for tomorrow that I can do today. And I'm sure it was just after working hours. And I said, you know what? I don't want to tell you I forgot to do it. Let me do it now. And that's the difference with people who make it and people who don't. If what you can do today, you put off tomorrow is going to have its own issues. But when you become somebody who is so quick, I love the term FIFO, first in, first out. When you become like that in your life, you become far more productive. You know, I'm one person who at work, I'm a morning person. I wake up and I'm most productive from 8 to 11, right? That's me. Those are my most productive hours. After that, it's lunch meetings, it's checking out on sites what's happening in etc. But I'm somebody who understands that I know my most productive times. If I'm going to do this, I'll call this person for 3 hours of my day. And you know, there's a book called The 5-Hour Work Week that just emphasizes what more productivity you could do if you put your phone away and you say, for the next 2 hours, I'm going to work. People who are listening to us today who are at work, trust you me, all you need is just 2 or 3 productive, focused hours in a day, and you'll be able to execute so much. And if you begin to look at your life and say, you know what, I want to focus on building my house, I want to focus on starting this business, and I'm going to go and register the company, I'm going to put in more money into this, I'm not going to go out and pop bottles, I'll use all this. It's just a decision. And when you do that and it becomes a habit, you know the 21-day rule, that whatever you do consistently for 21 days,
becomes a habit.
It becomes a habit. If you set your alarm at 5 a.m., by day 18, automatically your body wakes up at 4:59 before the alarm rings. That's the power of habits and taking action. So people who take habits seriously are the people who actually execute things. People who make excuses, who complain, who murmur, who when they listen to something, they don't take action, are the people who see others flying, excelling, doing great things. And all they will do is the blame game. It's the government. It's the political party that's ruling. It's everybody else but you. But you heard the exact same message. Becky, many of us went to university. Some of us didn't. But can you see that we are different after you graduate? Why is it this one becomes greater than the other? It's because they took action with purposefully going to look out and making relations with certain people, going to specific functions, it's a decision that you choose to do. But if you hang around with our usual favorite term, the chickens, guess what's going to happen? You're going to always be a procrastinator, wishing the government can get you jobs, whereas you could do certain things. You could relate, associate, network with people, and that will help you. So the 48-hour rule is something that all of us from today going on should look at seriously and say, what is it that I have put off this year? There's some people who are looking at the year and saying, wow, it's November already. It's just another 30 plus days until the year ends.
And they're saying it's November already, but it's
Imagine
not like
that.
they're ready for anything. We've got 3 minutes before we two before we shut this down. There's a comment here. Anza, I learned something today. When I go to my real area, normally all my friends call me Mudara, Mudara. I didn't know about this Vanasimbisai. Nani Vanditi Iwe. Then my money is safe. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
And the one when they make you feel like you've made it, when you know in actual fact like you are just scraping the surface. There's people asking for your contacts. I'm sure we'll give them out before we go. Is there any area in our lives where the 48-hour rule does not apply?
Every area of your life. But if you look at your life, there's a thing called time. There are 86,400 seconds in a day, right? In a day. And tomorrow you're not guaranteed those. But trust you me, with the information you're getting today, you can choose to do something with this information you're getting. So this same 24 hours is there for the rich and the poor. But if you find out those who remain poor, if you look at them and you analyze them, they are not action oriented. They don't do anything, but they talk a lot. They want to blame. But those on the other side who have made it, who have established things, are people who will go the road less traveled. They won't make excuses. They'll hear an idea of, hey, by the way, did you hear there's something there? They'll take the risk and go and see for themselves and see an opportunity. But those who make excuses don't. So I believe that this life that we live, when Jesus left, he said, do business until Ndadzoka.
Do business.
Do, which means it's an action word.
Thank you.
It is not a think about it.
Thank
it
you.
says, do business until I come. So here on Hustle Hard, we're telling people, take action.
Do business.
Stop procrastinating.
Come on.
You've got 48 hours with this information that we've given you.
What are you going to do with
and
it?
you yourself know the things you've done and not done. And you are the one who's going to be responsible when you go to a later age in life and people are asking you, why didn't you achieve? It's all going to be on your head because you chose not to take action.
Right.
And it's resulted in you being where you are today.
Thank you so much, George. That was Hustle Hard, the 48-hour rule. If you didn't catch it, you can watch it on our Facebook and also on George Billionaire's Facebook page. 0712840840 is the number that you want to get a hold of George. But for now, let's cross over to the news.